exam, or 2000, I think 2006. So I gave you guys the 2004, 2005 exams because that year still the written sections were longer. There was 60 marks worth of written and 60 marks worth of multiple choice. Those of you that are writing the provincial, now you'll find I think it's 70-40 or something like that, or 70-50. Though they made the multiple choice longer because they don't want to pay teachers to mark exams anymore. I suspect in about 5 years the exam, well, the grade 10 exam's already completely multiple choice. So here is the first question. It says a hammer, hopefully you can read, if not, move forward. A hammer slides down a roof sloped at 35 degrees, reaching a speed of 4.6 meters per second before falling off. How much time does it take to fall the 15 meters to the ground? This is a projectile-ish question. Now, usually, Sam, when we did projectiles, they were launched from cliffs at upwards angles. Looks like this is launched from a cliff at a downwards angle. Okay, I won't let it freak me out. What we still said you want to do is you absolutely want to go components. I'm just finished teaching projectiles with my physics 11s this year, and so what I've taught them, as soon as they deal with a projectile question, they draw a big line down the middle of the page and they go horizontal and they go vertical, and I've yelled at them right away. They go horizontal acceleration equals vertical acceleration equals, and they would fill this in, and I'm going to ask you to fill this in. Let's jog our memory. Horizontally for a projectile, if we ignore air resistance, what's the acceleration horizontally for a projectile? Do you remember? 0. Vertically for a projectile, if we ignore air resistance, what's the acceleration vertically for a projectile? I got to be really fussy because now we're in vectors, negative 9.8. Okay? Then hopefully, Christina, you would also say to yourself, if we're going horizontal and vertical, why don't I take that velocity of 4.6 meters per second, and why don't I break it up into horizontal and vertical? I'll call this Vx, I'll call this Vy initial. Why did I put an initial next to the Vy but not next to the Vx? Why did I put an initial here? Yeah, Vx is, since there's no acceleration, V final is V initial is V, you know what, it's just the horizontal velocity the whole time. The Y one will be changing. In fact, I can tell you what's going to happen. The Y one is going to be negative, and it's going to be getting bigger negative as it falls. Oh, the 35... Well, the 35 is right here, so I'm pretty sure the 35 ends up right there with our good old alternate interior Z angles rule. We're pressed for time, so I'll take a few shortcuts. I think Vx is cosine. Let's see. Adjacent, hypotenuse, opposite. Vx is going to be 4.6 cosine of 35, and Vy is going to be 4.6 sine of 35. Let's crunch that and see what we get. So I'll add that to my little list here. Vx equals and Vy initial equals. What do we get for Vx? Oh, I know why things are running slow. This antivirus thing is trying to scan and it slows the machine down like crazy. Abort. What's Vx? My calculator is not booting up. It's going to take ages, so someone needs to type this in, and the faster you type this in, the more review we get. So chop, chop, let's participate. What's Vx? 3.8? Give me a few extra digits because I don't want to, this is not my final answer. I'm going to be using it. 3.768? What's Vy initial? 2.634? Okay. 2.638. Like that? Okay. Always carry a few extra digits if it's not your final answer. Don't be rounding off early. What do they want me to find in this question? How much what? Time. To find time, they have to give me some type of a displacement. Did they give me a vertical displacement or a horizontal displacement in this question? Vertical. So I'm going to solve the rest of this vertically. Now, also they can give you a horizontal displacement. We called that the range. Or sometimes they can sneak it in. If you launch from the ground and end up on the ground, what's your vertical displacement? 0, because your change in height is 0. Don't let them scare you with that one. They'll do that one once in a while too. But I know that my vertical displacement is, what is my vertical displacement? Give you a hint, not 15. And also, does anybody see my mistake right here? It's not yet. No, it has to be. It's down. I have to. Oh, sorry. You're saying, yeah, my mistake was that it's not negative. Yes. I thought you were saying it wasn't supposed to be negative. And I want to find time. Do I have an equation that has those in it? Oh, I didn't write negative 15. Good gosh. Thank you. Is that what you were saying? Hey, I was marking until 10:30 last night. Sorry. Hey, what equation? I think this one. The common mistake kids make is they put vertical into horizontal or horizontal into vertical. So keep them separate. I think we're going to probably have to pull out the quadratic equation here. Let's see. I think we're also going to need more room, Mr. Duke. Negative 15 equals negative 2.638 t minus 4.9 t squared. Where'd the negative 4.9 come from? Okay, half a. And yeah, you're going to have to use the quadratic formula. Oh, how do I know this is a quadratic equation, Megan? So make it equal to 0. I'll plus this over. 0 equals negative 4.9 t squared minus 2.638 t plus 15. Or you could have plus both of these to the other side and had less negatives. You'll get the same answer no matter what. Now, probably many of you have built-in quadratic solvers and things, and my understanding is if you went straight to the, if you wrote down the quadratic formula right now, which we will, it's on your formula sheet, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Or you can use the German PQ one as long as you can solve an equation like that. I'm good. I don't care how you do it. Okay? Okay? So we would go like this. This is the quadratic equation, if you haven't seen this before, where that number there is A, that number there is B, that number there is C, and then you just plug them into there. It looks like this. T equals, I'll use T equals instead of X. Negative B, negative 2.638 is going to be positive 2.638. Plus or minus the square root of negative 2.638 squared, there's B squared, minus 4 times A, negative 4.9, times C, positive 15, all over 2a, which is negative 9.8. I can do 2a in my head. If you can solve a quadratic using the P and Q one, then I'm fine. I don't care how you do it, just as long as you can. Okay. Now, I've given most of you that built-in quadratic solver, and you're welcome to use it now, because they can't tell. I'll do this by hand, just in case some of you have forgotten how to use the quadratic solver, or have deleted it, or don't have a graphing calculator. I would do the inside of the square root first, bracket, negative 2.638, close bracket, squared, minus 4 times negative 4.9 times 15. The inside of the square root is 300.959. That's probably good enough to round off. So it's going to be 2.638 plus or minus the square root of 300.